Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, the relentless onslaught of rain and storms battering California. The Golden State pounded with 3 feet of rain since Christmas, bringing devastating flooding and knocking out power for businesses and homes.
For us, we've been out of power, just got it back on for only one day to lose it again. You know, we have our generator, but we lose heat. We lose hot water.
And the danger is far from over, with more storms on the way. Some in Congress considering their own solution to the illegal immigration crisis, as President Biden faces pushback on his visit to the border.
It's not fair for border communities like El Paso, or in my home state in Arizona, like Yuma, to shoulder the burden of the federal government's failure to address this crisis.
We know the drugs that come across the border are a huge problem. 108,000 Americans died of drug overdoses last year.
An expert tells CBN News about the effects of pornography on today's teenagers and how widespread it is.
84% of 14 to 18-year-old boys have seen pornography, and 57% of 15 to 18-year-old girls have seen pornography. So pornography's literally been invading our homes and our children's lives through the internet.
We'll hear how one state is taking action. And a ban on new gas stoves. We'll hear about the controversy over a possible federal action and why the government might do it. All those stories and more today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin this half hour in California, where floodwaters are rising as relentless rains prompt evacuations up and down the Pacific coast. Flash flooding has killed more than a dozen people, triggering evacuations as well as school and road closures across the state. Charlene Aaron has a top story.
17 people have been killed, and that toll expected to rise as waves of dangerous storms pummel California.
We've had less people die in the last 2 years of major wildfires in California that have died since New Year's Day related to this weather.
The state swamped with some 36 inches of rain since Christmas, causing record flooding and extensive damage. Entire communities forced to evacuate.
This street next to our house never flows.
Ellen DeGeneres posting this video from her home in Montecito as residents race to get out. In Central California, highway patrol officers blocking traffic as massive boulders rain down on Highway 168 in Fresno County. Dozens of dramatic rescues playing out. Emergency crews had to pull a woman and a girl to safety after 2 vehicles ended up falling into this massive sinkhole. Another sinkhole in Santa Barbara County damaged 15 homes. Authorities north of Los Angeles and San Luis Obispo County say floodwaters swept a 5-year-old boy and his mother while in their truck. They rescued the mom, the boy still missing.
There were some nearby neighbors that were able to rescue the mom, but the boy floated off in a different direction.
Lingering thunderstorms raised the risk of flash flooding and mudslides, especially in drought-stricken areas and land recovering from wildfires, where vegetation is less stable. An estimated 200,000 homes and businesses had no electricity Tuesday, mostly in Santa Clara County.
For us, we've been out of power, just got it back on for only one day to lose it again. You know, we have our generator, but we lose heat. We lose hot water.
And east of San Francisco, the entire community of Planada has evacuated because of rising floodwaters. Union Station in Los Angeles completely flooded. Golf carts used to shuttle passengers from the flooding. During an appearance on CBN's Faith Nation, Alan Cross, pastor of Petaluma Valley Baptist Church, shared how churches are working to help the displaced.
They're just standing ready to help and open up for evacuations if needed, and checking on their folks. They're under these flood warnings for creek beds that were dry, and hillsides that had not received much rain at all are now in a place where the land is giving way. So we're all just watching on edge.
He's encouraging prayers for those affected by the severe weather.
I think the main thing is just praying for people to be aware of their neighbors and to have compassion. That really is the role of the church, is to see people in need, connecting with others, and just being that refuge where we can join hands together as a community.
Meanwhile, President Biden has declared an emergency in the state as forecasters warn the storms are expected to continue into next week. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
President Joe Biden said he was surprised when he was informed the government records were found by his attorney at his former office space in Washington. He was asked about the issue after the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee requested the U.S. intelligence community conduct a damage assessment of potentially classified documents. Congressman Mike Turner said Biden's retention of the document put him in potential violation of laws protecting national security. But the president said he wasn't familiar with the material.
I was briefed about this discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office. But I don't know what's in the documents.
I'm not going to be quick to judge. I just know that he said it was very irresponsible for President Trump to take classified document to his personal residence and have them in an unsecured location, and it appears he did the same thing.
The revelation Biden potentially mishandled classified or presidential records could be a political headache for the president, who called former President Donald Trump's decision to keep hundreds of such records at his private club in Florida irresponsible. In addition, the intelligence assessment Republicans also want to know why the classified documents were found was not revealed before last year's midterm elections. The Biden administration takes its plan to curb illegal border crossings directly to decision makers as the president faces pushback on his visit to the border. CBN News senior Washington correspondent Tara Merzner has been following the North American Leaders Summit in Mexico and brings us the story.
After wrapping up his first visit to the southern border in more than a decade, President Biden pointed out his new plan is designed to slow the illegal flow while making programs for legal migration more accessible. He also wants other countries in the region to share responsibility, cutting the numbers. Meetings involving President Biden, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau come as they all struggle to handle an influx of migrants while also cracking down on human smugglers. The Biden administration is hoping a virtual platform that will serve as a one-stop shop for migrants to find information about legal pathways either in the U.S., Mexico, or Canada, and the opening of a new resource center in southern Mexico will help. Biden's new plan also includes expelling migrants from Nicaragua, Venezuela, Haiti, and Cuba who cross the border illegally. The U.S. will reportedly accept 30,000 migrants a month from those four countries that have a U.S. sponsor. Critics, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott, say it's too little, too late.
The president who caused the chaos on the border needed to be here. It just so happens he's 2 years and about $20 billion too late.
On Monday, a bipartisan group of senators also visited El Paso, which deals with 2,500 illegal crossings a day.
It's not fair for border communities like El Paso or in my home state in Arizona, like Yuma, to shoulder the burden of the federal government's failure to address this crisis.
The group is crafting its own legislative response to the crisis.
Some of this is obviously people fleeing violence and crime in their home countries. Other people are coming here for more nefarious purposes. We know the drugs that come across the border are a huge problem. 108,000 Americans died of drug overdoses last year.
Past efforts to pass major immigration reform have repeatedly stalled in Congress. As for that virtual portal, administration officials say it's still being built and may not be unveiled for several months. Critics are skeptical about whether it will even discourage people from coming. In Washington, I'm Tara Merzner, CBN News.
A federal agency's push to possibly ban new gas stoves is quickly getting a lot of attention. So far, officials are only opening up for a public comment period on this issue. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is considering the move because of concerns over how they could affect children's health. Studies show chemicals get into homes through the stoves, and medical research is indicating that almost 13% of children's asthma cases can be tied to the gas stoves.
These are oxides of nitrogen, or NOx, that get released into our homes when we use gas to cook. And NOx are well known to contribute to asthma.
Nitrogen dioxide is a concern because we know that it does have adverse effects on respiratory tract, respiratory illnesses, especially for sensitive individuals such as children who could have asthma, as well as elderly people who also suffer from asthma.
If this ban were to happen, it would apply to new gas stoves, not those that are currently in use. Experts say for those concerned about health issues, there are steps that can take.
What's the first best actionable thing we can do? And that is to make sure that we use hoods, we use ventilation. If we don't have those installed, can we at least try and open a window?
More than 40 million homes use natural gas stoves. Lynette Hardaway, better known as Diamond from the team Diamond and Silk, died Monday night. She was 51. The lively political commentator with the longer hair in this picture and her sister Rochelle Silk Richardson were big supporters of former President Donald Trump during his presidential campaign in 2016 and re-election campaign in 2020. President Trump mourned her passing on his Truth Social website Monday night. The Diamond and Silk Facebook page posted an announcement of Hardaway's passing but did not reveal a cause of death. You can find out more about their careers and their faith at cbnnews.com. Coming up, sky-high numbers of teenagers are seeing pornography these days through the internet. We're going to hear how one state is taking action when we come back. In an effort to protect minors from accessing pornography, legislators in Louisiana have enacted a new law to require age verification for accessing adult websites. It passed with bipartisan support. CBN Charlene Aaron spoke to Lisa Thompson of the National Center on Sexual Exploitation about this new measure.
First of all, what's your reaction to this new law in Louisiana?
Well, we're very excited about it, really over the moon. This has been a long overdue measure. You know, there's a general principle in the country that where we enact laws that protect children from access to harmful materials, like we don't allow them to buy alcohol or cigarettes, but yet, and they couldn't go into an adult bookstore and access that kind of material, you know, that they would automatically be shown the door. But on the internet, that's been the complete opposite. Children are frequently exposed to pornography. And in fact, I was just looking at a study today that said that 84% of 14 to 18-year-old boys have seen pornography, and 57% of 15 to 18-year-old girls have seen pornography. So pornography has literally been invading our homes and our children's lives through the internet. But now, through this measure, there's finally, at long last, going to be age verification so that adults who want to access hardcore pornography will have to basically opt into the system through an age verification process.
Absolutely. And you just mentioned some shocking statistics. We were just talking earlier with a colleague that according to the New York Times, 3/4 of teenagers have seen online porn by the age of 17. How harmful exactly is pornography to children?
The harms of pornography to children are very well documented, and they're wide-ranging. Everything from depressive symptoms, low self-esteem, reduced grades in school, increased beliefs in basically more adoption of sexist attitudes, greater involvement in risky sexual behaviors, and even engaging in exploitive activities with other children, child-on-child harmful sexual behaviors. So it's really staggering when you consider the wide-ranging harms that children suffer when they're exposed to pornography. And those harms are escalated. The younger they are, the more extreme those harms become, that we as a society have not stepped up to protect them online.
Wow. Your organization, Lisa, is now calling on all online porn sites to follow Louisiana's new law. Talk about that, and how hopeful are you that other states will follow Louisiana's example?
Well, we're excited that that Louisiana has, led the way in this. And there's great news that at the federal level, Senator Lee has introduced or has a bill called the Screen Act, which is basically following a similar tack, which would require age verification for people to access pornography sites. And it puts the onus for the implementation on the pornography sites themselves, where it belongs. They should be the ones responsible for verifying the age of their users and making sure that minors are not being exposed to their extreme and harmful content. So we feel like with Louisiana's law passing that we have some really strong momentum. And we know too that across the country, we keep hearing from, families and young people who've grown up and become adults who've had these, this harmful experience of being exposed to pornography when they were young. And there's a movement growing of people who want to see this stopped. We need to do a much better job of protecting our children from this kind of content. They deserve better from us.
Absolutely. Lisa Thompson with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Thank you so much for your insights and for taking the time to talk with us about this very important topic. God bless.
Thank you.
Still ahead, you know him from Pirates of the Caribbean. We have a conversation with voice actor Kevin McNally about the new animated series based on the redemptive fantasy book series, The Wingfeather Saga. When we come back, stay with us. There's something new from Angel Studio. It's the Wingfeather Saga series. It's a redemptive fantasy book series for the entire family, and now it's a multi-season animated television series. Kevin McNally, whose voice you may recognize from the Pirates of the Caribbean, is also the voice of Poto Helmer in this animated series. Studio 5 had the pleasure of traveling to Nashville to bring you this first-hand look and sit down with the voice actor.
I've heard things, Poto. Dark things.
We're missing Dragon Day! I'm coming!
Tell me your role with the Wingfeather Saga.
I play the grandfather of the family, a family that has a secret, and the grandfather was a man of action.
The last time I have any say in it, straight off the cliff, a lot of them.
Grandpa!
Fine, I'll let him live.
What did you think about the story when it first lands in your lap?
Well, the wonderful thing I felt about it was that it was it was sent to me as an animated series for children, and it was a lot darker than I thought it would be.
Dark glory in the deep.
Which I like. I like some dark elements, and it's very funny. It's beautifully executed, but really, to be honest, what I go for is what's the character I'm playing, and I just love him. I think he's a really hard-edged, with a slightly soft interior character.
How closely do you relate to him?
The softness I've got, but I don't think I'm quite the tough guy that he is.
Does it bring you joy to create something for children?
Yeah, I think doing work for children is, of course, it always gives me a special joy. I'm in the middle of a convention tour at the moment, and families come to these conventions and want you to sign things for their families, and it's always wonderful to see the children, because for them, it's all of the things that we create and the stories that we create, they're real. They really believe them, and it's a wonderful thing to remember in yourself that innocence of childhood, and so I'm trying to keep a little element of it with you, and that's why this appealed to me so much, because I don't often get asked to do kid shows.
What's the journey been like? Has it been easy to do this?
I don't think any journey is easy, but I'd like to go back to my younger self and say, don't try to become a star, because the wonderful thing about being a character actor is that I can still be here today and still be playing roles, I think perhaps, people who want to become actors to be famous are doing it for the wrong reasons. You should do it so that you can keep doing it for the rest of your life. And that's what I'm thankful for every day, that I can still get up every day and do it.
When did you recognize the power of what you do? What happened?
I was in a theater doing a show when I was 16, 2 years ago. And there was a child came up to me who had a terrible facial deformity. And, but he was the happiest he'd ever been because he just had the experience I'd had when I was young. And I imagined that his life wasn't easy. Kids aren't very nice, are they, to each other? But his mother said, I spoke to him for a while, and his mother said, that's the happiest he's been for a long time. And I was very moved by that. Obviously, I first came to America to do Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jack Sparrow is not my name. My name is Joshua Gibbs.
And I had no idea that I was entering into a world where I would be, you know, I'd known no other actor like it, personally, that virtually everybody you meet on the planet will have seen this stuff. And I have had a number of young people come up to me over here and say, particularly on this little tour I've been doing, that, you know, they wanted to thank me for doing it because they'd had difficult childhoods and it was a sanctuary for them at times.
And we're sharing Kevin's story on the next edition of Studio 5 this evening. We're also counting down to the release of Creed 3 with a first-hand look at the film through the director's lens. Then we're sitting down with the filmmaker who gave us The Best Man Holiday, and now The Best Man, The Final Chapters. You can catch Studio 5 on the CBN News Channel tonight at 8:30 Eastern. You can also find it on the CBN News app or on YouTube as well. Coming up, we've got an encouraging word for your day ahead when we come back. Stay with us. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is strength. Know this, you were not built to break. You're stronger than you think. Embrace joy and you will see it. The joy of the Lord is our strength. Joy brings strength. It's an amazing truth and principle. Take hold of that promise and make today a wonderful Wednesday. And be sure to have yourself a wonderful rest of the week. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time, as well as online, cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us at the address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And, of course, you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram as well. Again, make it a wonderful Wednesday and join us right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.